Welcome to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives with Rebecca Hall Gruyter. In our program each week, we provide the tools, ideas, and encouragement to help you move ahead on your journey, becoming a more powerful and impactful woman in your own life. Now here's your host, Rebecca Hall Gruyter.
Welcome, everyone. I hope that you're having an amazing day. Honored to be connecting in with you, and I know that you're really going to enjoy our conversation today. The guest that is joining us has just an amazing heart and spirit and is reaching out to help so many people in so many ways, particularly the youth and those that are in the coming generations in a really powerful and profound way. And something he's passionate about and what we're really shaping our conversation around today is discovering who you truly are. And then in knowing that, you're able to share that, the gift of who you truly are, with the world. So I'm thrilled and honored to have each and every one of you joining us today. I invite you to just take a deep breath. In through the nose, all the way to your toes. Take an opportunity to just slow down, breathe, become present, kind of pull up that virtual chair, because I know there's a reason you connected in today. And I want you to get everything out of our time together today that will serve you, support you, and empower you on your journey. And part of being able to receive is to be present. So not multitasking, not here kind of half listening, but really choose to be present. Give yourself the gift of allowing us to pour into you and to support you on your journey. So keep breathing. Do those deep, beautiful breaths in through the nose. Expand your belly all the way to the toes and then out. And in fact, I encourage you to close your eyes. You're absolutely safe. Unless you're driving, please don't close your eyes if you're driving. But everyone else, close your eyes. And as you're feeling in and thinking about, who am I really? Who are you truly? Are you showing up in that way? Does the world know who you really are? Are you keeping it a secret? Or are you still discovering? As you're breathing, eyes closed, just explore with some curiosity. And in fact, let's put both hands on our heart. Take in another deep breath. And just see, as you look and explore, who are you? Are you sharing that? Are you in alignment? Are you excited to bring the gift of you forward? Just where are you in that? And see what it is that you need to empower and support you on your journey. Not asking you how. I'm just inviting you to see, what is it that I need? What do you need? And just see, listen in between the beats of your heart and see what is coming up, what it is that you need, perhaps what you're being reminded of, maybe a feeling, maybe noticing, remembering, discovering what it is that you need and are willing to receive because you have choice. So what is it that you need and are willing to receive? Beautiful. Let's take another breath. Eyes open. Let's come back into the room fully present. And I invite you, as you're taking that breath, becoming really present, maybe even moving your shoulders a little bit so that you're really back in your body and present. I invite you to write down what was laid on your heart that you need and are willing to receive. That's part of starting to co-create it, getting it out of swirling around inside of you and bringing it present and bringing that into our connection and our conversation today. I invite you to keep it top of mind. So as we go through our experience today, our journey today, you can write down those things that are in support of bringing you forward. Beautiful. With that, I'm excited to bring on Rob. And Rob, I would love for you to share, when you took a moment to just stop, pause, and listen, what was laid on your heart?
Well, today is a special day for me, but it was 14 years ago today that I had chosen to end my life. And through a series of events, I obviously chose to stick around, and I've got this tattoo on my arm that says, "It's better to stand and fight. If you run, you will only die tired." And I felt like as a youth, I spent so much time trying to please other people or trying to fit into a box that I wish I just would have had some guidance in becoming the best version of myself. And I didn't, unfortunately, learn that until probably the age of 35, that all of these places I tried to get to and that I wanted to be a part of, when I finally got there, it wasn't what I thought it would be. So that's when I went on the journey of becoming my best true self and changing the things I didn't like and appreciating the things I did and becoming my best self. And I'm just honored and blessed to be here on the planet and to be a father and an author and a coach to many. So I'm just a lot of gratitude and grateful that I could look myself in the mirror and be proud of that man today.
So beautiful. Thank you for sharing. And I didn't realize the significance of today. So I love that this lined up, and we just get to honor that you are here and have chosen to share so much and become that best version of yourself. So I just honor and celebrate that. Absolutely, absolutely. And that big shift that happened so many years ago today. It's beautiful. Yeah, absolutely. Well, listeners, we are getting ready to go to our first commercial break, and I want to encourage you during this time to stay present. Really think about what's speaking to your heart and your spirit. Are you making choices and aligning with becoming that best version of yourself? Are you happy when you look in the mirror and celebrating? Great things to explore and look into and see. Because every day, even throughout the day, we can make choices to align more with who we are and who we are becoming and who we want to be. So stay tuned, and we'll look forward to continuing our conversation in just 2 minutes.
Follow Voice America at Facebook.com/Voice America for juicy updates from your favorite radio shows and podcasts.
Announcing a powerful new TV channel featuring programs designed to enhance and transform your life. Make powerful connections, one program at a time. And by doing so, we can bring transformation to the world. Tune in each week to Empowered Connections TV as we add new programs to help you make empowered connections of your own. Visit empoweredconnectionstv.com. That's empoweredconnectionstv.com. And make the most of an incredible life transformation.
Voice America programs are now available on your favorite connected device, including Amazon, Alexa, and Google Home. Through streams with Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, and iHeartRadio, listening to your favorite show is as easy as saying the show name followed by the word podcast.
Hey, Alexa, play Finding Your Frequency podcast.
If that doesn't work, try adding on TuneIn or on iHeartRadio or on Apple Podcasts.
Rebecca Hall Gruyter's Speaker Talent Search is looking for speakers wanting to get on more stages. With just one audition, you could open the doors to hundreds of speaking opportunities, reach more people, and expand your impact. Finalists get to audition live in front of leaders looking to fill all kinds of speaking opportunities. Apply now at SpeakerTalentSearch.com. That's SpeakerTalentSearch.com. We look forward to hearing your message.
It's your world. Motivate, change, succeed. VoiceAmericaEmpowerment.com.
You're listening to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives with your host, Rebecca Hall Gruyter. If you have a question or comment for Rebecca or her guest, we'd love to hear from you. Please call into the program at 1-888-346-9141. That's 1-888-346-9141. You may also send an email to Rebecca at yourpurposedrivenpractice.com. Now back to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope you enjoyed those 2 minutes and just started reflecting and thinking on how are you discovering truly who you are and becoming that best version of yourself. Have you started that mission? Have you explored what that might mean for you, not for somebody else, but the way that you're made? I know you're going to enjoy our guest and what he has to share as we dive into our deeper conversation here. But I wanted to take a moment and give you a little bit more of an introduction so that you have a taste of Rob. So Rob Eastman is a highly sought-after life coach, entrepreneur, nonprofit founder, speaker, wrestling coach, youth mentor, extreme athlete, and proud father. His personal story of overcoming bullying, mental health struggles, and addictions is moving and powerful. And he's absolutely passionate about helping you overcome your fear and become that best, powerful version of you. Please lean in. Warmly welcome the dynamic, powerful, and inspiring Rob Eastman to the show. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here and share a little bit of my passion for life and hopefully say some things that will help people know that they're loved and worth it.
Beautiful. Well, I am thrilled to have you and excited to have you share those things that you've discovered and learned. And I wanted to start the conversation around why. Why is this work of helping others in these ways? Because I listed so many different ways that you're helping others. Why is even to writing a book? Why is this work personally so important to you?
I think it started for me right out of the womb. If you would ask my mother, I had a really hard time falling asleep, rambunctious, and then once that's fine when you're at home and you're not in school yet, but once I got to school, the bullying started from the teachers, the kids on the playground. I'm a redhead. I had big ears, all these different things, and I just got picked apart. And kindergarten through third grade, it just pushed me over the edge to where my first suicidal thoughts were in third grade. And that really just pushed me to a place where I just started acting out and fighting back. And I didn't do well in school, and I was made to feel like I was dumb and all of these things. And I grew up in a very religious area, and all the things that I was hearing at church, and it just didn't match how I was being treated and the things that were being said about me. And I just got to the point where the emotional pressure, the school pressure, the not fitting in, it really just took its toll. And it got to the point where in sixth grade, I was being bullied so bad about my ears that my parents were like, hey, let's get those ears pinned and that'll fix the problem. And by the age of 12, when you've been bullied and talked bad about, called names and beat up on the playground for so many years, like I got my ears fixed, but regardless, when I looked in the mirror, the damage had been done. It was like you can do whatever you want to the outside, but I was still rotting inside.
Yeah.
So, got into junior high, and it continued, and then I just started becoming, I would just fight anybody that picked on me, and I started standing up for the kids that were being bullied as well. But still no relief from the self-hatred and the pain. And my first suicide attempt was in ninth grade. And going through got into high school, and, my options were, I didn't know, after that first suicide attempt, the police brought me home. They gave my dad the gun, and my dad took me in the garage, and he kind of got in my face, and he's like, do you know why you don't have grandparents? I was like, no. And he proceeded to tell me that his dad drove his truck off of a bridge and that his mother committed suicide a year later. And that if I were to do that, he wouldn't know how to handle that. And it was like, I loved my dad. I wasn't doing these things to hurt other people. It was because I was hurting inside. And coming from a religious background, drugs and alcohol are not an option. And now suicide wasn't an option. So as I got into high school, I smoked weed for the first time, and all my pain went away, and I was able to numb out. And eventually, the thing they don't tell you is that same relief doesn't happen, and you build a tolerance, and eventually that doesn't work anymore. So what I thought was going to save me years down the road eventually almost took my life. So as I got through life, and I'm trying to be a good man and manage my mental health issues and ADHD, bipolar, anxiety disorders, all these things that come up with mismanaged mental health, and got married, and that lasted less than a year, and I just felt like a failure. Everything I touched did not work, and my dad was very successful. Everybody in my family was successful. I just feel like it couldn't add up. And so once there's a lot more in that, but why is, like, I had every opportunity to be successful, to get the resources that I needed to get healthy, and there's a lot of people out there that don't have those resources. And I feel like one thing that my family did with me is they protected me from the world rather than prepared me for it. So I felt it very important that I go back, I share the real story of what's really going to happen, also supply some resources and some tools for these youth to know that they will do much better figuring out who and what they are rather than trying to fit into a group of people that they probably won't like anyways. So I call it flying your true flag, and be willing to play the cards that you were dealt in this life. So that is I just love working with youth and families, helping them come to terms and learning how to love themselves.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. And I can hear your passion, your deep care. And I love not only that you have owned your journey and moved forward in so many powerful ways, but that you're reaching back to make a difference and really help so many generations to come. Now, I know in your story, because we're going to talk about your book in a moment, I've had the honor and the privilege of reading an advanced copy and was very, very moved by it. And I know there was a point in your story where you kind of stopped and reflected in relationship to your daughter and really looking at who you wanted to be, that was a pivotal moment for you. Do you mind sharing a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think anybody who's ever been around an addict or somebody who's mentally ill, we like to play the victim. We like to push blame. And I was sitting there feeling sorry for myself that I didn't have a girlfriend. I was fresh into recovery. My daughter was like 7 months old. And I was talking to my dad, and he was like, if Sophie was of an age that she could date and a guy like you came into her life, would you let her date him? And before he even finished the sentence, I was like, hell no. And I was like, and he said, until the answer is yes, focus on yourself. It's because I feel like I had a void my entire life, and I used a girlfriend or a wife to, can constantly fill my cup and tell me how great I was, or keep me built up or give me attention. And when they weren't there, the cup was empty. And at that point, I didn't know how to fill my own cup, and I was at a point where I didn't want to hurt any more people. And so that kind of took me on my journey of finding out who I was, what I wanted to be, and really developing into the man that I would want my daughter to date. I wanted to be that example, and that took me on a pretty wild journey.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for sharing. And I love that moment and that connection that was made in the shift. So powerful.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you for sharing. Now, I know that you have this passion to make resources available to help, and one of them that has been laid on your heart is to share your story in a book format and to bring it forward. I know you have as a speaker in many different ways and a coach, and now you're getting ready to bring it forward in a book format with pictures and great tips to support people. Do you mind sharing a little bit about why a book and what it's called and what you're hoping it does in the world?
Yeah, so my father passed away 13 years ago. And when we started looking through everything, we had maybe a page of notes that he had written his thoughts, and we didn't have a single voice recording other than his voicemail on his phone. And I was just thinking, like, man, I don't want my daughter to not know who I was. If I were to die today, what proof of me being around her, what kind of a man would I have? And I'm not an academic. I really did not do well in school, so I'm like, I can't write a book, but I want to do something, so I started a podcast. And I just started sharing my story and interviewing people like me and kind of the taboo conversations that people are afraid to have. And about 90 episodes in and a couple of years later, I just kept having this impression that every time I'd go and speak, people are like, have you written your book? Have you written your story down? I'd love to share it with my family or my school. And I just kept pushing, and I just kept that inner child in me, like, you're dumb, you're stupid, you'll never be anything, that I not only got from kids, but I also got from my teachers. Like, there's no way I can do this. And finally I reached out to a friend who had written a book, and he directed me to my ghostwriter, and that kind of made it come to pass. It's like, I don't know, I'm not an English major, I don't know how to put it into sentences, and that fear just kept me for a decade. Like, I wanted to write it 10 years ago. And finally it came to a place where it was like, you know what, I can do this. And if I keep believing that inner voice, I'm never going to get to my true potential. So I wage a war often with that other voice.
Yeah.
So it came down to, we locked ourselves in a cabin for 7 days and did dictation, and I think that 7 days was as healing as probably 5 years of therapy. And then it was like, it was too late to back out. And that took me on about a year and a half journey of really diving into my story. Like, I had done the work. I had worked with therapists. I'd done the self-help stuff. But in all of that, there's a lot of collateral damage. My ex-wives, my family members, that when you're in a hurt place, anytime somebody says anything bad or has a different perspective, you get defensive. But to sit there and interview my ex-wife and her mom or her dad or my siblings and allow them to share their story about the same time and moment that my truth was different from their truth, and to be in a place that allowed them to heal, and I didn't have to stand up for myself, and it was just the most healing process that I've ever been through. It's like, I even got towards the end of the book, and I'm like, you know, I was talking to my ghostwriter and helper, his name is Bridget, and I got to a point where I was like, you know what, I don't even know if I need to send this book out. It's, you know, it really healed me. And she was like, this isn't for you, Rob. So she reminded me that my story, you know, I'm not unique in my story. It's a story of many. And if I'm not brave enough to share mine, then how is that going to allow other people to be vulnerable enough and brave enough to go and share their story? Because I truly believe that everybody has a genius. Everybody has a tool that probably somebody in their own house or their own neighborhood needs, but they're keeping a secret because they're ashamed of what people might think or say. So I went all in on this book. I can't believe I put a lot of the stuff in black and white, but I'm praying that it'll help some people. So.
Well, we are so excited. And what is the book title? Because I feel everyone's leaning in and they want to know.
Yeah,
so what is the title?
It is called Warrior in the Garden. And early in my recovery, I was an angry guy, and I just wanted to hurt people. The first 9 months of my sobriety, my wife divorced me. The bank came and took everything I owned, and then my dad died. And I was I didn't know how to manage. I didn't have the tools to manage all of those things. So figured the next best thing would be to take an MMA fight off of Facebook at 35 years old and to go in and be able to beat somebody up and not get in trouble. And I went in there and had a humbling experience, if you will, and that's what got me turned on to martial arts. And through martial arts, I thought I was going to become this weapon, and really what it taught me was to be humble, to be confident, to respect, honor, discipline, camaraderie, and it just showed me my entire life I was acting out of fear, and now I get to act out of confidence, and confidence is a much calmer place and a much more beautiful place. So Warrior in the Garden goes back to a saying that says, the students ask the master, says, you teach me to fight, but you talk about peace. How do you reconcile the two? And the master replied, it is better to be a warrior in the garden than a gardener in a war. And that just simply means that it's better to have the tools and not need them than need them and not have them. Yeah. So as a child, I lived in fear every day of going to school, going to church, in fear of being made fun of or being called on in class. And that's just one thing I don't feel like anybody else ever has to live with if they're just given the proper tools in life.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. I appreciate it. And I encourage everybody to write down the name Warrior in the Garden. It's going to be released on September 27th. So it's just around the corner, September 27th. And that day when it's first released, it's going to be available at a special rate of $1.99. So that's why I'm encouraging you to write the date down that it's released. And if this is something that resonates with you, we just want to invite you to get a copy at that special rate. We'd love your support in sharing it out to reach as many people as possible. And this is a little bit of a preview, so you know something that you can look forward to and put on the calendar. So as we go to our next commercial break, I want to encourage you to really take a moment and let some of what Rob has shared sink in and see what are you acting out of? Are you coming from a place of calmness, of alignment, of confidence, or is some of it coming out of fear? And is that something that you want to explore or perhaps shift? So we'll look forward to continuing our conversation in just 2 minutes.
Birdie told me Voice America is on Twitter. Follow us at Voice America TRN.
Rebecca Hall Gruyter's Speaker Talent Search is looking for speakers wanting to get on more stages. With just one audition, you could open the doors to hundreds of speaking opportunities, reach more people, and expand your impact. Finalists get to audition live in front of leaders looking to fill all kinds of speaking opportunities. Apply now at SpeakerTalentSearch.com. That's SpeakerTalentSearch.com. We look forward to hearing your message.
Voice America programs are now available on your favorite connected device, including Amazon, Alexa, and Google Home. Through streams with Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, and iHeartRadio, listening to your favorite show is as easy as saying the show name followed by the word podcast.
Hey, Alexa, play Finding Your Frequency podcast.
If that doesn't work, try adding on TuneIn or on iHeartRadio or on Apple Podcasts.
Announcing a powerful new TV channel featuring programs designed to enhance and transform your life. Make powerful connections, one program at a time. And by doing so, we can bring transformation to the world. Tune in each week to Empowered Connections TV as we add new programs to help you make empowered connections of your own. Visit EmpoweredConnectionsTV.com. That's EmpoweredConnectionsTV.com. And make the most of an incredible life transformation.
It's your world. Motivate, change, succeed. VoiceAmericaEmpowerment.com.
You're listening to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives with your host, Rebecca Hall Gruyter. If you have a question or comment for Rebecca or her guest, we'd love to hear from you. Please call into the program at 1-888-346-9141. That's 1-888-346-9141. You may also send an email to Rebecca at yourpurposedrivenpractice.com. Now back to empowering women, transforming lives.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope you enjoyed those 2 moments and just gave yourself an opportunity to reflect on what was being shared, what sparked something in you and pulled at your heart or reminded you of something or inspired you in some way. I encourage you to take a look back at the notes you wrote at the beginning of our conversation of what was laid on your heart, what you're looking for help with, what will support you on your journey, and just see how some of those things may be shifting just in our time together. And Rob has been sharing some of his journey, what he's discovered, and his passion to really make a difference for future generations and really give people an opportunity to not act out of fear, but really more from who they truly are, and to have some tools and resources to do that. He was sharing about his book forthcoming. I just want to make sure everyone's caught up. September 27th, Warrior in the Garden. We're encouraging you to put that on your calendar. And I know it's a book that truly moved me. I was inspired by. I laughed. I cried. I was stretched, and it was very impactful in a great way. So highly recommend it and encourage you to take advantage of that special release on September 27th. And one of the things that I love about your book is the cover. So I'd love for you to describe the cover, the front image and kind of what that represents, and the back image, because you were very thoughtful and deliberate in what you chose and shared.
Yeah, so in my world, I'm called the Tattooed Life Coach. And so I'm covered from ankle to neck, full sleeves, everything. And what people originally think is like I'm a felon out of prison or whatever. But if you look at it, my body's committed to mental health. Mm-hmm. And one of my sleeves is literally my armor tattooed on. And it's just a reminder of the battle that I fight every single day. And I wanted to do a warrior theme, and the best thing I could think of was showing up and, like, my arms are out wide, my shirt's off, and I'm, like, calling on all the demons, like, let's go. Mm-hmm. I've been preparing for this day, and hopefully to give people strength and power to let them know that regardless you win or you lose, you're going to still stand and you're going to fight and you're going to get up every single day. And one thing I teach all my youth is that we either win or we learn. The only way you lose is by not trying. Mm. So that was super important for me. We found a really beautiful gardens in the mountains of Utah, and it's a beautiful backdrop. And then on the back, it was important for me to have my daughter. I think if I wouldn't have had my daughter, I don't know if I would have had enough reason to stay. Mm-hmm. In the original version, when I first was getting clean, it was like I didn't love myself enough, but I did love her, and I thought she might want to meet her dad one day. And eventually that turned into me learning how to love myself. So me and her holding hands on the back, looking out at I was standing under a tree with a beautiful waterfall in the background. And it's just like the adversary had me believing in that time that when I was ready to end my life that she would be better off. Any man could come into her life and do a better job than I could. And to know what I know now and to have the relationship I have now with my daughter, it's just absolutely false. And it's so crazy how that negative energy can get us to doubt everything good in us. And it's just really important for me to let anybody at any point know that regardless of what you've done, there's always a way back. It definitely takes work. You got to stand and fight. But you can be an asset in your kid's life, your family's life, and the people around you.
Thank you. so beautiful. And those listeners who lean in to get a copy, now you know a little bit about the pictures and why they were selected and the meaning behind them. And I always think that is so powerful to know. Thank you for sharing both describing the images as well as the meaning behind them and why you chose them. You were very deliberate in that, and the message you're looking to convey and how you're looking to help, and that reminder that it is worth the battle, it is worth the fight, and that we do matter, and to not believe the lies. And I just honor and celebrate that. One of the absolutely, and I love how you explained what warrior in the garden means in that phrase and why you chose that. But how are we warriors in the garden? How can we be that?
Yeah, I think, I've actually just wrote down journey, mindset versus destination. And I know I work with a lot of women, and a lot of them have so many skills, but they gave that up to raise kids or whatever, and they start getting to where their kids are driving or whatever. They're like, I don't even know who I am anymore. And it's like helping them dip back into their brilliance. Like my fiance is one of the smartest human beings I've ever met. She's so strong, amazing ideas. And I just think if she wouldn't have had the confidence to go out and follow her dreams and step into her genius, the world wouldn't be the same place. Mm-hmm. And I know that there's a whole bunch of people listening right now that may not have the know-how or whatever, but everybody has something to offer. And the biggest thing for me is I'm a huge fear facer. We call it exposure therapy. Mm-hmm. So I challenge everybody who's listening, if there's something holding you back, if you're afraid of something, hire a coach or go out and do whatever you fear most. So we'll just use like heights as an example. I've spent so many hours guiding people to the edge of a cliff, sitting down, they're like hyperventilating, anxiety attack, and I simply talk them through it. Like at some point, you need to stop worrying about the fall and see the beauty and learn to breathe and know that it's going to be okay. There's a lot of scary stuff out there, but you cannot let it box you in. Life can be so amazing when you just put that fear down or stand and face it and walk through it. And I love what I do because I find so many people that they come in insecure or anxiety or depression, all these things, and they end up being some of the most artistic, smart, beautiful, loving people on the planet. But they would have never have known that if they weren't willing to walk through the door and peel back those layers. And a lot of it comes from that inner child. Mm-hmm. Like we're taught these beliefs as a kid. It's family dynamics. It's, so maybe a wife wanted to be a lawyer, but she got stuck at home raising kids and she's resentful and feeling, there's just so much that goes into who are we as human beings. Like, yes, I'm a father. Yes, I'm a fiance. But beyond all that, I'm so many other things, and I'm allowed to be those things. But at some point, I had to stand up for myself and say, no, I'm not going to fit into your box. I'm going to be the best version of myself, and the right people are going to stay, and the ones that weren't around for the right reasons are going to leave, which just makes more room for more people that love me. And it's just there's so many things in the world, the Instagram, you don't have the right body, or you don't have the right car, or whatever it is, those things really just don't matter. Because for me, I set a 5-year plan with my dad before he died. And it was so unrealistic for me. I just did it to get him off my back. And the craziest thing happened. I hit those goals in 6 months. And it was just like, I wasn't happy that I did it. I was scared because in that moment I knew I can do anything I put my mind to. And the funny thing was, it was like, if I could buy a car and had a house, I'm going to be happy. But by the time I did those things, I had developed and enjoyed so many cool experiences that by the time I got there, it wasn't the big shiny toy that I thought it was going to be. So if you're ever feeling like if you just get this, by the time you get to it, it's a false summit. Every time I feel like I've arrived, I choose to, my spirituality, I believe in God, that if I get to a place where I am just killing it, And life is amazing. That's God's way of saying, hey, take your boots off, take a breather, because you're about to hit your next summit. Like, it's a fall far from that pedestal when you think you got it all figured out. So I choose to stay humble and stay present and develop new things I don't like. I like to hear people's perspectives on religion or politics or whatever it is, and it just prepares me to be a better human being and to be a better asset to those around me. So doing and finding the best version of yourself, things that make you happy, that also help those around you, is, I think, what really develops that warrior in the garden.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. And I'm just going to give everyone a moment to sink into all of the rich gems that you just shared with us, and going through how we can be warriors in the garden and really facing our fears. And I love this concept of the false summit, that we get to keep going. It doesn't stop. We get to keep going. We get to face our fears. There are so many things on the other side that are amazing, and that we can do so much more than we realize or even know is possible. So as you reflect back on our conversation, do you have a final thought, a final something in your heart that you want to share with our listeners as they're processing everything today?
You know, I think for me, when I got to rehab, I had so much adult trauma that I couldn't have worked through that in 10 years. And I was sitting there complaining in one of our groups, and this guy said, when did this first start happening? And I thought he was talking about my wife divorcing me, and I was like, a couple months ago. And he's like, no, when did you first start hating yourself? And that knocked me down. I was just like, I zapped back to the little kindergartner in the playground, not with nobody playing with me. And it was like, it was so much easier for me to go back and look at the skills I developed to survive then and how my life turned out now. And so to be able to go back to that inner child and apologize and grow from that and learn from it, let go of the shame. And I spent a lot of time apologizing to people, and I think my 20-year reunion was spent apologizing to people because I got bullied, and in return I became a bully, and I hated that. And I think the biggest thing for me, especially with parents, 1, heal yourself. 2, be honest with your kids. Prepare them for what's really coming down the pipeline. Give them the tools necessary to thrive in any environment. Don't protect them from it. Give them adventures. Take them into the mountains. Take them out. Let them explore. I love what Dr. Jordan Peterson says. He's like, allow children to do dangerous things safely. It's like, don't save them from their natural consequences. Walk them through the sad times. Don't save them from them. So I think it's just, we already know. As adults, we've been through so much. Everybody's an expert in getting their butt kicked. I think everybody can agree with that at some point. And so if we can learn from that and what went wrong and what we could have done differently, and then apply that to our kids, not beating, this is how we're going to be, allow them to choose and to find the things that they're passionate about and that they get excited to get up on a Monday for. I just think there needs to be more passion in the world, more kindness, and less bullying. So I think it all starts underneath your own roof and expands out from there. So make sure you take a hard look in the mirror, learn to love that person, and share that love down the pipeline with your kids and family.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing, Rob. I appreciate it. We are going to our next commercial break. So listeners, just take some time, be present, really give yourself the opportunity to reflect on all of the hard-learned lessons and wisdom that Rob is sharing with us, and just really see how it's speaking to your heart, your soul, your spirit. And we'll continue our conversation in just 2 minutes.
Voice America is on your favorite smart speaker. If you have Alexa or Google Home, go ahead and give us a try.
Hey Alexa, play Finding Your Frequency podcast on TuneIn.
Announcing a powerful new TV channel featuring programs designed to enhance and transform your life. Make powerful connections, one program at a time. And by doing so, we can bring transformation to the world. Tune in each week to Empowered Connections TV as we add new programs to help you make empowered connections of your own. Visit empoweredconnectionstv.com. That's empoweredconnectionstv.com. And make the most of an incredible life transformation.
You need to live up to your full potential. You've heard that for years, but now there's a channel to help you get there. Introducing the Voice America Empowerment Channel. Our listeners have told us that they want to be motivated, hear about success stories, and positive encouragement around the clock. And we've responded to you. The Voice America Empowerment Channel is the home of the world's top life coaches, entrepreneurs, and success experts. Listen to the Voice America Empowerment Channel. It's here at voiceamericaempowerment.com.
Rebecca Hall Gruyter's Speaker Talent Search is looking for speakers wanting to get on more stages. With just one audition, you could open the doors to hundreds of speaking opportunities, reach more people, and expand your impact. Finalists get to audition live in front of leaders looking to fill all kinds of speaking opportunities. Apply now at SpeakerTalentSearch.com. That's SpeakerTalentSearch.com. We look forward to hearing your message.
Find out what makes the most successful people tick. Keep listening to the Voice America Empowerment Channel. VoiceAmericaEmpowerment.com.
You're listening to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives with your host, Rebecca Hall Gruyter. If you have a question or comment for Rebecca or her guest, we'd love to hear from you. Please call into the program at 1-888-346-9141. That's 1-888-346-9141. You may also send an email to Rebecca at yourpurposedrivenpractice.com. Now back to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope you enjoyed those 2 minutes and just really had the opportunity to process and receive some of what Rob has shared. I think one of the greatest gifts we can give ourselves is the opportunity to be present, to really take in things and integrate. And part of that integrating is breathing, letting it sink in on a cellular level, breathing it in, releasing what no longer serves. Create room for those new ideas, new thoughts, new perspectives to take root in your life and grow. And I have just so enjoyed our time together, Rob, and what you've shared. And I've been inspired and touched and found myself nodding and, smiling and leaning in as you shared from your heart and from your spirit. And it is so clear that you come from a place committed to really making a positive difference. And I just deeply appreciate that. And I wanted to give you an opportunity to share your contact information. So listeners, have your paper and pen ready. This is on purpose. And this way people can connect with you. They can go deeper. Listeners, I encourage you to write this down and honor that poll, that prompt to reach out. Sometimes we're shy. So when a guest gives their information, they're doing it because they do want to connect. So that's an invitation. So with that, Rob, could you share your contact information?
Yes. So I'm most active on Instagram, and that handle is Tattooed Life Coach and the number 8. I do answer every single message. That's one important thing dealing with mental health or people who are willing to reach out. I know that's a hard thing to do, and I hope to never outgrow being too cool for what I set out to do in the first place. So I want to be approachable and everything else. So, and then Facebook is just Rob Eastman. My website is robeastmancoaching.com. My podcast is Stand and Fight. And yeah, everything else is on there. There's a link tree on all of those that can connect you to pretty much anything I'm doing, coaching, speaking engagements, things like that. So
beautiful.
I'd love to hear from you.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that information. And can you share the title of your book again and what day it's going to be released, just in case anybody missed it?
Yep, it is Warrior in the Garden, and it is released on September 27th, and for that 24 hours, it'll be $1.99. And my book it's a memoir, but I have a special upbringing where it touches on just about everything on the planet. I've had reviews from 80-year-olds and from 13-year-olds, and they all have similar experiences. So I think it's going to resonate with a ton of people, male, female, doesn't matter. We all have been through some things, and I always know I find it refreshing when somebody else is willing to share their fails and the triumphs through it. So excited.
I'm glad. We're excited too. September 27th, I have it circled in red on my calendar. Looking forward to it. We're going to be sharing it out as well. So listeners, again, I invite you to write that on your calendar. And then I also have a couple of resources I wanted to make available to you today. So for those of you who are feeling that pull, that call to share your story, to share your message, to reach more people, I want to encourage you to check out speakertalentsearch.com, speakertalentsearch.com. This is part of our give back, and it's an opportunity for people to go through a process and share their message and possibly get on different shows like ours to be able to share. So I encourage you to check that out. And then the second is I am excited to share that I'm releasing a book today called Share Your Brilliance. So to me, it so ties into our conversation today. And it is available on Amazon for the special rate of $1.99 today. So it's that same 24-hour deal. So today through tomorrow morning, Share Your Brilliance. You can look it up on Amazon, either looking it up by title and or by my name. And I'd be so honored to have you lean in, get a copy, share it out. We're looking to reach as many people as possible. And know that you each are an incredible gift. Nobody else is just like you. And I think that's by design. And the biggest gift that you can give the world is being who you truly are and sharing more of that. Don't keep it a secret. Really bring the gift of who you are forward. And I hope some of the tips that Rob has shared today has touched your heart, has sparked something for you, has encouraged you on your journey so that you can lean into being that best version of yourself, that you can keep taking those steps, navigate through fear. Fear is not a reason not to, but navigate through and be able to really bring forward the amazing gift of who you are. So as you step back and out into the day, I encourage you to take a couple of moments just for you, that deep breath, and choose how you step forward. Choose to bloom where you're planted and shine. Have an amazing week, everyone, and we'll talk to you next time.
Thank you for joining us this week for Empowering Women, Transforming Lives. Please tune in again for another edition with your host, Rebecca Hall-Gruyter.
Next Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 10 a.m. Pacific on the Voice America Empowerment Channel, with a replay on Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern and 1 p.m. Pacific on the Voice America Variety Channel.
Have a beautiful week, and may you always bloom where you're planted and shine.